How's it going, guys, and welcome back to another week and another Destiny 2 video, where this week we are going over the final Grandmaster in rotation, which happens to be Devil's Lair, which also happens to be literally the easiest one ever made, and which is great because this week is dropping Silicon Neuroma and it goes away after this season. This is literally the last time you're going to be able to get this weapon, so make sure you farm it and make it easier. I got a guide on loadouts for you, so let's get right into it. Once you land in the strike, you are already presented with two options. The first option is just getting on your Sparrow and driving straight to the end, entrance, exit, whatever you want to call it, where the Overload is waiting for you, defeating him, and then going up the stairs. However, this can be a bit tricky as there's a lot of things that can shoot you off your Sparrow, cause a wipe, cause it so you can't actually go back and get your friendly, and you waste time trying to do so. So for me, every time I'm on the strike, I just hang the hard left, jump up over the crates and the walls and whatever, and be careful of the acolytes that can get stuck in the wall and just absolutely melt your team because you can't touch them. Deal with that same overload, go up the stairs, and then you're going to be met with some Fallen and Hive, as well as an anti-barrier champion. Take care of them. Very simple to do. 3 of you, 1 of the barrier champions. It should be easy peasy lemon squeezy. Get past the barrier champion, go down the stairs, deal with these ads. There should be a solar wizard to deal with. Take care of her, and there's going to be an overload captain on the stairs on the right hand side. Also take care of him. When you get ready to fight that captain, just be mindful of the thrall that can spawn out if you defeated the hive wizard. Deal with him, push forward into this next area. In this next area, there's going to be a bunch of hive and a few fallen to deal with. There's going to be an anti-barrier knight basically directly in front of you. Basically, if you just go straight from that overload champion, there's going to be an anti-barrier champion. Deal with him first, and then you're going to want to get an angle on the overload champion that's just kind of hanging out by the object that we need to scan to deactivate the lasers. Take care of him while also dealing with all the ads in this room. This can be kind of a pain as there's just a ton of them in here, but once you get them all cleared, you can then scan the device in the center and begin deactivating the lasers. Once you start deactivating the lasers, you're going to hang a hard right to the end of this little hallway, little dead end room type thing, and this is where you and your team are going to sit for the entirety of this room. When you get down here, odds are when you turn around, there's going to be an overload champion waiting for you, as well as a bunch of fallen. Take care of them, obviously the overload first, and then clear the rest of the fallen. In the very back, there's probably an arc shielded captain you're going to have to push up for. Get rid of him, and as soon as you do, head back here because now a bunch of shanks are going to spawn. Sniper shanks, regular shanks, and the majority of the exploding shanks. Once you get past all the shanks, you can then move on to the second part of this room, where you're going to have a bunch of hives starting to spawn. If you go back to where you were in the first place, back in that little hallway, this should be a pretty easy thing to deal with, as all the hive are going to spawn in front of you. There should be a couple of thrall, a solar wizard, and eventually there's going to be a summoning ritual right in front of you with a few arc knights, as well as an anti-barrier champion. Take care of them, they're right in front of you, pretty easy to deal with. Clear the room of the ads, and then you're going to get a wave of shanks to spawn just like the first time. Take care of these wave of shanks, and we can move on to the third part of this particular room. During this part, 2 more overload champions are going to spawn, along with a ton of fallen. Clear this room. Get rid of the 2 overloads. Odds are they're going to be pushing you pretty aggressively, both of them together, which is honestly makes it really easy. Easy cleanup on both the overload champions. Get rid of them. Clear this room completely. These lasers will go down, and you can move on to the tank area, which is kind of a pain. But before that, there is another overload champion to deal with, as well as a few ads. Very easy to take care of. Get through them, and we can go over this next part, which can be a real big pain sometimes if you don't know how to deal with the tank correctly. Once you get into this area, you're going to be met with a barrier servitor almost immediately. Do not push out into this large area yet. Sit back here, deal with the barrier champion as long with the ads that he spawns with. Look to your left and deal with the ads that are just kind of hanging out in that little warehouse. When the tank spawned, jump up on top of the building directly in front of you and just focus fire on the tank and get rid of it completely. What I like to do here is normally I run Warlock, which you can see in the footage. You drop a well and you just beam that tank and get it out of there, because in this area there is a lot of things to worry about. There is two or three overload champions you have to deal with, as well as barrier champion you have to deal with, and 2 of those fallen brigs you have to deal with. The easiest way to deal with this is as a team, you need to decide where you're going, which way you're going to start. A lot of the times, we deal with the right brig first, ignore the champions entirely as best you can, and then we deal with the left brig. Once that has been done, we stick to the left-hand side and we systematically pick off whatever champions we have in the middle. Usually, we try to get rid of the barrier champion first, because this way the overload champions can't be shielded. Then we start working on the overload champions. There should be one that spawns with you when you walk into this room and the tank spawns. There's going to be another one, I believe, that spawns from a skiff flying over, another one up by where the tank was, and then once you get through all that, there's going to be another one that walks out of the doors before you go into the boss room. Just as a team, you need to communicate here of which ones you're going after and where you're starting. Again, I highly recommend working on the right brig and then going the entire left-hand side, because on the left-hand side, there's a lot more cover and you don't have to deal with the tank blasting at you because you should have already taken care of it. Once you get through that, we can then move into the boss room. Once the big doors open to the boss room, there are 2 overload champions you should immediately deal with. Take care of them and start dealing with all these smaller adds that are going to be in this boss room, and then the boss fight actually starts. This boss is divided into 3 sections, all health gated because there's other things that are going to spawn at these parts. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get him down to that first third while dealing with a bunch of adds, and the best place to do this is when you walk into the boss room to your left hand side again, there's going to be a nice little room. That room is a really safe place to sit, so sit in there, take care of the adds. When you get into a third, what's going to happen is he's going to become immune. You have to deal with a bunch of servitors that are protecting him. I highly recommend clearing out all the adds in here before you start dealing with the servitors and the boss again, because once the servitors die, the boss can be damaged again and more waves of adds are going to spawn. So again, take care of all the adds here and then deal with the boss. Also, if you're going to hide in this room, be careful of that little hallway when you poke your head out of the door to your left, because a lot of things will just kind of hang out in there because they're trying to track to you but can't quite figure out the best pathing. So every now and then, look out to the left, take care of the enemies in that hallway. Once the boss gets to a second phase, same thing, just do damage to him and get him to this next part. During his second immunity phase, 2 overload champions are going to spawn, a bunch of adds, you know the drill, take care of them, and then once you take care of those last bit of adds, he's damageable one last time. Just melt him, give him all you got, and once that happens and he explodes, all that beautiful loot is going to fall on the right hand side of your screen. And now this strike again is very simple, very easy, and honestly it's one of my favorite ones to farm. It's one of the few strikes that you can do on like Hero or Legend and actually get 100k with matchmaking on, so it's a really good strike, and it's a really good Grandmaster for people who are new to Grandmasters. This is like the baby stepping stones to Grandmasters, and I highly recommend if you want to take your friends to their first Grandmaster, this is the one you should take them through. Now, let us look at the loadouts we use to get through this particular strike. As far as loadouts are concerned, I ran the Solo Warlock Well of Radiance with Phoenix Protocol. I ran Phoenix Protocol to get my super back faster so I could just throw down wells whenever and wherever I wanted to. For weapons, I ran Tears of Contrition, which should have been for Barrier, but I forgot to put the anti-barrier mod on. Tiku's Divination for Overload champions because the tracking arrows are amazing to deal with their teleporting asses. And then finally, Sail Spy Pitch Glass just for my DPS because it is an arc burn strike. And again, Sail Spy is an amazing arc linear and you just get it from doing seasonal activities. Fantastic choice. For mods, I ran Font of Wisdom to get my super back faster, Elemental Ordnance to make wells with my grenades, Explosive Well Maker so Tiku's explosions could make me some wells, Well of Life to get some health back, and Well of Ordnance to feed back into my grenades. Overall, this build is really, really fun. Again, just being able to throw down a well wherever and whenever you want is really, really nice, especially for the part of the strike where you're deactivating lasers. Just throw down your super every chance you get and feed your ally supers even more. The second loadout we're going to look at is a Void Hunter with Omni Oculus. Now, Omni Oculus is amazing for going invisible. You have 2 smoke bombs, you get resistance, all that good stuff. It allows you to do some really clutch reses when you really need that shit to come in handy. Now, for weapons, they ran Wish Ender for anti-barrier, because Wish Ender is, to me, literally one of the best anti-barrier options. The only reason it beats Arbalest is because Wish Ender is a primary. If it was a special, Arbalest would be better, but luckily it's a primary, so it's just free. It's amazing. They're in Midas Reckoning, the fusion rifle from Kingsfall to deal with adds, as well as the arc shields, and Taipan for their heavy, because Taipan is an amazing fusion rifle, linear fusion rifle, and people just have it for free due to that quest at the relic. For mods, they ran Reaping Well Maker, so this way they could get Void Wells when they dodged, Bountiful Well so they can make 2, Well of Tenacity for the bonus damage resistance, Utility to get their dodge back faster, and Seeking Well so that this way the wells they made would track to them. The final loadout we're going to look at is a Stasis Hunter running Aeon Swifts. Aeons are an amazing option for Grandmasters as they will just generate you a bunch of heavy for your teammates, and honestly, it's really nice to have an extra surplus of heavy ammo to throw wherever you want to throw it. They ran Arbalist for anti-barrier, Funnel Web to deal with ads, and Hothead because it is an arc heavy and it is honestly a pretty good rocket launcher. For mods, they ran Power Preservation to make more orbs with their Stasis super, so this way I could get my super back faster as well as our Tether Hunter could get theirs back faster. Well of Restoration, so the wells they picked up gave all of their abilities of energy back. Font of Wisdom to get their super back. Elemental Shards, so their Stasis Shards will count as Elemental Wells to feed into the other mods they had, and Elemental Ordnance in case their grenade got a kill, they could then get more super energy back from the wells they would make. It all worked out very well, and that is the end of this particular video. Again, Devil's Lair is very easy. It's a very nice beginner Grandmaster. I highly recommend if you have friends that have been wanting to run Grandmasters, run it. It's a very nice Grandmaster to do, as well as the fact that Silicon Neuroma, the sniper rifle that will be dropping, this is the last time it's going to be dropping, so please do yourself a favor and get into Devil's Lair and get that sniper rifle. It goes away next season, and this Grandmaster is free. But other than that, that's it. That's all of our Grandmasters covered this season. I have a few more videos that I've planned out that are going to be a different style format, not builds. More like one of them is going to be a video going over the things that you should probably get from this season that you have the rest of the year to get, as well as my personal take on the state of the game as a whole. I know that's been a pretty hot topic and a pretty hot debate right now, so I'm going to throw my hat into the ring and see how it goes. But with that, I hope everybody has a great week.